Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, so you've given us a really interesting mix of materials to dig into today.
Yeah, quite a collection.
We've got this YouTube transcript, a collection of fragments, a PDF with Bob Camblin quotes, some book excerpts, then in the Art of Enlightenment, incomplete works, plus some history, reviews, more quotes. It's quite a pile.
It really is. And it all points towards trying to get a handle on this artist, Bob Camblin. He's often called iconoclastic, definitely enigmatic.
Right. People really want his work, but the man himself, his story,
Yeah.
it's a bit elusive, isn't it?
Exactly. So the goal here, I suppose, is to take all these pieces, these fragments,
Good word for it. Yeah.
and see what insights we can pull out about his art, his philosophy, particularly this focus on impermanence, transformation.
And how he connected art to life, to meaning, plus his own sort of unusual journey as an artist, his collaborations.
Definitely want to touch on those.
Okay, so let's start with that YouTube title, A Collection of Fragments. The transcript calls them whispers of something greater. What does that suggest to you right off the bat?
Well, it immediately makes you think they aren't just random bits, but what's really interesting is how the transcript describes them fleeting, shifting, never truly ours. It says like watercolor pigments mixing.
Oh, that's a great image.
It is, and it connects directly to that Camblin quote, the one about things remaining forever.
Or another 10 years, perhaps. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like he's got this witty acknowledgement of how things change even as we wish they wouldn't. It's that tension, isn't it?
It really is, a kind of playful realism. The transcript also talks about a calling to search to seek meaning amidst the chaos of forms and feelings in these fragments. Does that resonate, that search?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, isn't that kind of what we all do, trying to find patterns? And the book excerpts seem to back this up, suggesting his art was, in a way, his method for navigating that chaos, that unpredictability. And then there's that Zen idea mentioned in the transcript.
Ah, yes, the search itself being an illusion, that we're already whole.
Exactly. It makes you wonder, was Camblin's art, with all its fragments, maybe pointing towards that? Towards some underlying wholeness beneath the surface noise?
That's a fascinating thought. And it leads nicely into those big themes. Impermanence, transformation. They seem so core to Camblin.
Definitely.
You see it in quotes like, step off the train of thought, or bending is not bowing, and release the need to hold or to know. There's a real sense of letting go there.
There is. It's active, isn't it? Not passive resignation, but an active release. And if you look at the review of Zen and the Art of Enlightenment,
Yeah.
it frames impermanence as liberating, not negative.
Liberating. That's a powerful way to put it.
And it connects it to the I Ching, the Book of Changes, all about cycles, which then ties into that revolution molting hexagram mentioned in the other text.
Like shedding skin.
Precisely. Shedding the old, embracing the new. You can almost see his artistic changes, his move to a nomadic life, reflected in that idea.
That's like his life mirrored the philosophy. And he said, the end is to evolve by doing the best you can. It's about continuous change, not just one big shift.
It implies ongoing growth, yeah. Which kind of begs the question, why this constant focus on change for Camblin? Was it just an artistic theme or something deeper?
Which brings us to how he saw art itself.
Right.
Versus life, versus meaning.
Exactly. That famous quote.
Art is not just images.
Art for art's sake has become art for life's sake, or art for my sake, or art for survival's sake.
Wow, that really reframes things, doesn't it? Art as necessary.
Yeah.
As useful.
Absolutely. It's not just decoration. It's a tool for living, maybe even for coping. And that review of The Art of Everything kind of echoes this. It talks about art being questions disguised as images.
Questions, not answers.
Right. And philosophy is the attempt, maybe always incomplete, to answer them. Art poses the question.
I like that. It makes art feel more active, more engaging.
And another review mentions everyday enlightenment, suggesting Camblin's illustrations, which are described as strange, humorous, and unsettling.
Quite a combination.
Are like koans, those Zen paradoxes.
Ah, right. The riddle's meant to kind of short-circuit your normal thinking.
Exactly. So maybe he was intentionally trying to shake up our perceptions, make us look differently.
It seems plausible. And then there's that other quote, look into the atom, you get what you need.
Right.
Look into magic, and you get what you need.
Philosophy and art are in both, yeah.
So science, magic, it's all connected. He's blurring lines.
He seems to be saying you can find fundamental truths down different avenues, yeah? Science, mysticism, art, philosophy, maybe they all tap into the same core stuff.
Okay, so to really understand this philosophy, maybe we need a bit more on his actual life, his journey. We know he started formally Kansas City Art Institute.
Right, and got that Fulbright to Italy early on. Pretty standard path initially.
Yeah, he even taught for a while.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
then, this pretty radical shift, right?
A huge shift. Giving up the stability, embracing a nomadic life just for the art, that's a massive commitment.
It really is. And the bio mentions all the travel: Italy, France, Ireland, Mexico, the South Pacific.
Imagine the influences. All those different cultures must have seeped into his work.
And he wasn't always solitary, was he? There were collaborations. B&E production.
Yeah, with Earl Staley and Joe Tate, and that fascinating habit of signing things anonymous.
What do you make of that? The anonymity.
Well, it could be a few things, couldn't it? Maybe pushing back against the cult of the artist, focusing attention on the work itself, or maybe suggesting art is more of a collective current. Hard to say for sure.
It adds to the mystery anyway.
Yeah.
And what about this Muchas Volantes style with Nancy Giordano?
Ah, yes. Named after those floaters you sometimes see in your vision.
Right.
And the focus there was apparently on optical illusions, making the viewer part of the piece, getting them actively involved.
For not just passive viewing, he wanted interaction.
Seems like it. Which ties into this whole idea of hidden meanings in his work. The reviews really stress this.
Yeah, they talk about reading his heart like a book, needing time, contemplation.
You can't just glance at it. And the text he includes in paintings.
Are they clues or misdirection?
Exactly. It adds another layer. One review called his work a puzzle that wants to be solved.
And maybe in trying to solve it, you discover something about yourself.
That seems like a very Camblin-esque outcome, doesn't it? Remember his quote, "Fool the eye, fool the mind."
Tricking you out of your usual way of seeing.
Maybe bypassing the rational mind to get at something else, something deeper.
He certainly left an impression. The quotes from other artists, collectors, they really highlight his uniqueness. Gershon calling him a mystical trickster figure ripe for rediscovery.
That's a great description. And Earl Staley saying he learned drawing and composition just by doing it with Camblin collaboratively. It shows that hands-on influence.
Yeah, these personal stories really add color.
Hmm.
So, okay, as we kind of wrap up this deep dive, what are the main things sticking with you about Camblin?
For me, it's that relentless exploration of impermanence. Not just as an idea, but as a lived reality in art and life.
Right.
And finding meaning in the everyday, in the fragments. Also, the value he placed on questioning, on contemplation, over just getting easy answers.
And his own life story, the nomadism, the collaborations, it all feels part of the same picture.
Absolutely. It's all interwoven.
It really does feel like his work, as that review said, is a portal to heightened awareness. Less about answers, more about prompting a different way of looking.
Well put. Inviting engagement, challenging assumptions.
Which brings us back to that question from the YouTube transcript,
Yeah.
sort of echoing Camblin.
What if the path lies in acceptance? What if the search ends not in finding, but in surrendering to the flow of all things as they are?
Yeah, it really makes you think, doesn't it? How might those ideas, impermanence, hidden meanings, surrendering to the flow, apply in our own lives, our own perspectives?
A perfect place to pause and reflect, I think.
Definitely. Well, thanks for digging into Bob Camblin's world with me. This was fascinating.
My pleasure. Always interesting stuff.
Until our next deep dive.